There are places on the African continent that expats don't even talk about where you can move in 24 hours and stay for decades. Stay tuned until the end, because I know you're like, what, really? I thought it was difficult to move to Africa. People say it's hard. People don't know what they're talking about. We're about to break it down for you in this video. Hit the like button, share this with 25 people who have no idea that you could move in 24 hours and literally stay for decades in a couple of countries, because this is the real breakdown of Africa's easiest long-term residence permits versus the ones that are designed to exhaust you, from taxes to safety to even international flight access. Okay? So there's this crazy thing that happens when Americans decide to move abroad. There's two types of Americans, two types of Westerners when they're expats moving abroad: those who do the research and those who don't do the research. And when I say research, I'm talking about deep research, not surface level, not like, oh, flight tickets and then. No, I'm talking about deep financial research, research that you need to do in the States, having a power of attorney, having all of these things
Yeah,
in motion,
the right bank accounts.
not thinking about a luxury photo shoot, not just sipping coffee by the ocean, although we do love to do those things as well sometimes, but not even during the airport arrival process. This is where you are strategizing to see which residencies are going to give you the longest term stay. And again, this is not like a top 10 expat list. These countries a lot of people have never even thought of. And so over time, what we have built inside the Mature Adult Intensive, inside the State of the Diaspora, inside our programs, and serving over 1,063 clients, getting 4 million plus views on this channel collectively since 2019, we have seen that it's not about tourism, it's about residency
Hmm.
efficiency. Your travels do not need to be about what's the best tourist visa. Who cares? It needs to be about where's the best residence that has an anti corruption method in place. And not can I survive here temporarily, but how can I thrive in the long term without exhaustion, especially if you're a retiree, especially if you have children, especially if you're just someone who values the things that you have and you don't want those things to go to waste, right? And so, number
Hmm.
one, we can talk about visa free access, which is one tier to think about. And the countries that are going to give you visa free access in Africa: Mauritius, Botswana, Senegal, Namibia used to be one, but their visa is about $30,
Hmm.
depending on which visa you get. But if you move to a country that has visa free access and has long term residency portals, like a Mauritius, like a Botswana, then you get there in the long haul game. Not only did you leave within 24 hours and not have to apply for some type of e-visa while you were in the States,
Yeah.
but you arrived in that next 24 to 48 hours. And then in these countries, you can actually go ahead and submit your residency paperwork while in the country. Now, here's the caveat: if you are a retiree and you're retiring in some of these countries, get your FBI clearance beforehand. Okay, that's the only caveat. But if you're a digital nomad and investor, you actually don't need that for
Hmm.
Mauritius. For Seychelles, Botswana may be a little bit different, but those are two of the best countries that allow you to get that long term access as you enter within 24 hours, visa free. Again, you don't have to go online and hop around. Oh, I need an e visa for this country, wait a week for approval. You don't have to do that in these countries as of right now. Okay.
Yeah, and even if you do need an e-visa, just make sure the visa is not so expensive, because that's something that will tell you the corruption of the country. So if there's a country and a visa is like $250 for 30 days,
Mm,
that should tell you something right there. So this is what we always tell people, like, go to countries that's visa free. You can hop around like that, but this is more of being serious, really moving to a country. And the best ones is visa free, because it's going to be easier to do, or I guess I can say apply for residency, do business, invest, have the customer service there, have the professionalism there,
yeah.
to make it easy and
Make
save
it make
time.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, we are almost 5 minutes into this video. I forgot to tell you, go to www.journeywithus, movetoafrica.com/services if you like this conversation. If you want to do intentional market research in your travels, because
Hmm.
actually what we do whenever we move, and all of our moves have been successful. Obviously, we've been outside of America for 6 years continuously, not going back and forth here, there, actually acquiring residencies. We've had student visas, we've had digital nomad permits, things of that nature. Those are like the two we really like. But If you are traveling abroad soon and you don't want to go back and forth between America and this place, or you care
Mm,
about having someone in your corner, you're exhausted, you're like, I'm too tired to do this. You may be a lawyer, like some of our recent clients, you may be a project manager, you're working 40, 50 hours a week. You're like, wow, I have the resources, but I just don't have the time to figure this out by myself. I haven't done this research for 6 years. I haven't acquired all of this information. I need to go
mm,
speak to people who have so I can save my time and maximize my strategy. Go ahead and visit the Mature Adult Intensive. There is like 2 spots left. We begin May 31st. Now, remember, Americans can enter Mauritius visa free and receive generous entry periods compared to many nations. This is key because this also goes into the first tier of visa free access. How long can you stay visa free? In 1 calendar year
yeah.
in Mauritius, you can technically stay for 6 months, provided you get an extension if you have an American, Canadian, UKEan passport. Now, if you're like an African passport holder
It's
or
a little
Asian,
bit
I'm
different.
not sure. But for like some of the Western countries, that's how long you can stay. And that may sound small at first. You're like, oh, wow, it's only 6 months with an extension. But if you compare this to, like you were saying, countries like Ethiopia, where you pay a $250 visa that's only good for 30 days, you don't realize how beneficial this is. Thailand has also come out and said people from South Africa, Mauritius, I think Ghana, even
Mm,
America was on the list. They're saying you cannot stay for 90 days. We're going to give you a 30-day permit that you have to pay for. It's not visa free. Okay. So understand this is where market research comes into play because you don't really see the blessing in certain countries unless you're doing the market research to know what's happening around the world and around the different regions. Now, a nation's visa policy reveals its posture towards outsiders, which is something that we always discuss. Some countries want visitors and some want revenue. A few quietly want long term residents. Why would a country issue a 10 or 20-year permit? Because they value humanity in the long term. It's not like a quick exchange transactional moment, like, okay, get out of here. That's not how they're feeling. Countries that will issue you
mm-hmm.
a 5, 10, 20-year residence permit are saying, we value you and your family in the long term. This is somewhere that's safe for you to come. If you abide by the immigration rules, then you are free to stay here. Okay. This is partly why countries like Mauritius, Africa continue outperforming the much larger nations in long term attractiveness for global mobility families. Again, differentiating between a 30-day visa, a 90-day visa, and long term residence. There are some countries where their tourism is reliant on, hey, just a lot of people coming in for 90 days. Mauritius, Seychelles, Botswana, countries like that, they're not really worried about that. They're thinking more long term, like, I want people to come and
Mm-hmm.
stay, invest in housing, put your money in the banks here, buy some of our insurance policies, use our hospital facilities, because that boosts their economy in the long term. This is a great business decision. This is a great way to think. Now, tier two that we teach in the mature adult intensive is the long term residence matrix. Because again, tourist visas are not residence permits. This distinction destroys so many relocation dreams. You will see people online that are like, oh, I loved it in this country. And then you're like, oh, how long were you there? They're like 60 days, 90 days. And it's like, you don't really get a feel for a country in 60 or 90 days. I can tell you, I have a great feel for Mauritius after living here almost 3 years and giving birth here. Okay. And so just pay attention to that because tourism and residency are two totally separate experiences. If you have not
Yeah,
continuously been in a country for at least 3 years, how can you attest to what it's actually like to live there? If you're functioning as a tourist, then you have more of a tourist mentality and a tourist experience of the country, which is okay, but you have to decide which one is right for you. Do you want to
exactly.
be a tourist indefinitely? Or do you want to have long term stability? Do you want to have financial systems that you can actually pass down to your children without super hyper corruption?
Yeah, no, that's important. That's really important. This is something that we notice also when it comes to residency. Look at countries that take care of their citizens.
Mm,
So I'm not saying be a citizen in a country, but which countries make sure their citizens has free healthcare, right?
mm,
So sometimes when you
yeah,
get these residency permits, long-term
that's true.
residency permits, you could get free healthcare. You could
Yeah.
go to the hospital and don't have to pay anything.
Residency, not
Yeah,
citizenship.
yeah. So this is something that we notice. This is something that
Yeah.
we share with our clients. So that's a little gem to let you guys know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it is possible to make sure that your health is taken care of. And from what we experience, the healthcare system here in Mauritius for sure is excellent, and it might be better than where we came from, the West, to be honest.
Exactly. And again, Mauritius, Seychelles, maybe even Botswana, these countries stand out because they have designed their immigration process towards a residence ecosystem for people who understand global capital movement. Okay. Retirees have pathways, remote workers have pathways, investors have pathways,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs have pathways, students have pathways here, professionals have pathways, property buyers have pathways. If you want to buy a property, and get a permanent residence out here, you can do that for $375,000. And man, the properties we have looked at them, they're overlooking the ocean and the
Yeah,
mountains.
it
They are
gets
like
better and better.
luxury. Subscribe to members only if you want to see content like that. And all of this matters because once a family leaves America, they are not merely changing scenery. They're not going on vacation, okay? When people leave America during WW3, they're restructuring their relationship with taxation, healthcare, banking, property rights, education, inheritance. Like, can they pass this stuff down to their children that they build in
Mm,
that country? Business systems and mobility itself. Countries that understand this are quietly winning. And it's not something that they have to super hyper broadcast. If you were to just look at the data, you would see who's number one for doing business in Africa,
yeah.
who's number one for financial systems in Africa. Two countries are going to pop up, Mauritius and Seychelles. And it's because they have these structures in place that maybe other places on the continent are a little bit afraid to do, or there's too much colonization really preventing them from getting to that next level of scale in their immigration process. And listen, this is why we often compare places like Mauritius against countries like Nigeria, Egypt, or even Kenya, not because these countries lack beauty or popularity or even opportunity, but because long term systems matter much more than short term excitement.
Mm,
See, we have 6 children, we are a family of 8. Short term excitement is way past out the window, okay? And we are only in our early 30s, but we have a different mindset. We think more like a mature adult, obviously. And so these long term systems matter more than safaris and excitement and whatever's going on, because although Egypt has a historical feel, a weight, and strategic location, long term residency structures can feel inconsistent and administratively impossible depending on the individual status. Then you bring in a Kenya or a Tanzania, which both remain powerful
yeah.
economically, beautiful countries within East Africa, but many expats increasingly describe the environment as much more complex, politically heated, and administratively unstable than it appeared even several years ago. Meanwhile, Mauritius and Seychelles, potentially Botswana, even Namibia, continue to operate like well managed airports, lounges in the middle of geopolitical turbulence. Stable banking, strong treaty networks, not just on the African continent, but with Asia, with the Middle East, with Europe, with Australia. Strong connectivity to Dubai, South Africa, India, and parts of Europe, and
Mhm.
low crime compared to obviously Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. Like, crime rates out here are so low that it's almost, people wouldn't even believe it, just to be honest with you. But you can look it up
Mhm.
yourself. And then tier three, the ability to change status in country. This is huge
Yeah.
because in East Africa, typically you can't change status in country. In South Africa, you can't change status in country. You actually need to go to the U.S. Embassy of South Africa in D.C. to acquire proper investment permits and things of that nature, and then acquire it while you're outside. Okay. Mauritius, Seychelles, Botswana, they're not like that. Okay. You can come to the country as a tourist, convert to a premium visa as a digital nomad, and then go ahead and switch to an investor permit. No issues while still in the country. Okay.
Yeah, that's important. That
That's so
yeah,
key because you're not going to find this. Most countries in Africa, even in Europe, like if I wanted to move to France, I would have to go to a French embassy and
before
get
going, yeah.
permission before going to France. Okay. So it's not just in Africa. This is standard across the board. So when you find a gym like an island nation that allows you to switch that status while in the country, well, it matters a lot. It makes your life 10 times easier.
Yeah, no, that's something that people don't realize how important that is. Because even if your status, just say if you come on a tourist visa
Hmm.
and you apply at, or just say your tourist visa is 90 days
Okay.
and you apply at 80 days in the system in these
Hmm.
countries that we're mentioning,
Yeah.
right? And then your visa expires after that 90 days, but you're still in the system.
At 80 days.
No, at 91 days.
Oh, okay.
you're still good. But certain countries like Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, Egypt and
Most
stuff,
countries.
most countries, to be honest, you'll have to leave before that 90 days just to make sure your status is okay. So this is something that we
Yeah.
appreciate about these countries. Like, make sure that you're doing the footwork, make sure you're doing the research to make sure your status is good in the country.
Yeah, you gotta know there's so many levels to international moving abroad, but it's a blessing because at the end of the day, some of these digital nomad pathways, a lot of this stuff didn't even exist in 2020. And so
Hmm.
although it's more complex, it's complex for good reason so that you can get an advantage, a tax advantage, a residency advantage, whatever. And that flexibility is critical for families because we have children, businesses, online income. You may have health conditions if you're a retiree. You may have aging parents that technically, here's another gem, okay? If you are on this video right now, you are just blessed, okay? Because I'm going to tell you something. If you have sick parents that are dependent on you, they can go under your visa, your residence in Mauritius. So if you have a 10-year retirement permit, you have a 10-year self-employed entrepreneur permit, whatever, you have a premium visa, your dependent parent can go under your permit.
Hmm.
You have to prove dependency. That would be from a doctor in the States, maybe even from like the governmental
Yeah, just
offices
gotta
if
have
they
the
have
right paperwork.
disability.
Yeah,
But they would be able to be a dependent because they are, guess what? Dependent on you. Now, how much sense does that make?
it makes sense. It makes
It makes a
perfect
lot of
sense.
sense.
And it's one thing that I know we keep saying. We keep saying retired, right?
Hmm.
For us, when we think about retirement now, we think 50 years young.
Yeah,
But when we say
that's
retire,
true.
I know people here like, dang, I gotta be 65,
Right.
almost 70.
Wow. Thanks for
No,
sharing that. Yeah.
that's something that you can retire at 50 years young in Mauritius.
Yeah. You don't have to
And
wait till
other
60.
countries is might be 60, 65.
Yeah.
But here
Yeah.
it's 50.
Yeah. It's true. Absolutely. And then also long term asset planning again. I wish that you had joined the State of the Diaspora. It's completely over, but we leave a list of 10
Hmm.
different banks available throughout Africa. Some even have ties to Asia. This is long term financial planning. It's very difficult to find this information. The only reason we have this information is because we've literally been on the ground talking to these people, going to these banks, speaking to these different professionals to acquire it for ourselves and our family. Then we were like, oh, I guess this is good information to
Hmm.
share with other people, okay? Because you wouldn't even know that these banks exist. You wouldn't know these systems exist. You wouldn't even know that you can actually get a mortgage in
Yeah, I was just
Mauritius.
about to say that. Yep.
I mean, it's just a secret hidden island gem. That's it. It's just a secret hidden island gem that we are blessed
Hmm.
to have come upon. But people underestimate how psychologically exhausting immigration instability can become. We arrived at this conclusion in 2022 in Tanzania. Like there has to be something that makes more sense for the long term. This just is not
Yeah,
adding up.
some
The
countries
money's
don't make
flying out.
sense. It just really don't make
It's not
sense.
adding up, and it's not even an expensive country, so the money should not be flying out, okay? But this is the cost you pay to be in a corrupt society versus you find a country on the least corrupt African countries list, which all of which the countries we've been talking today are actually on that list, okay? So there's that. But there's also the inability to plan beyond 6 months, which slowly erodes your peace. Like you can't even grow your business if you're in a corrupt society, which is what leads a lot of expats, Americans, to move from Africa and not return because they chose the wrong country. But instead of pausing, praying, discerning, and saying, okay, let me just look for something that kind of replicates the Ten Commandments, that kind of is like anti corruption. Obviously, they're
Yeah,
not going to
you
be
don't want to be
perfect,
corrupt.
but let me
Yeah,
just see where his laws would take me if I start to ask, okay, where are they not this corrupt?
that's
Where are
good.
they not focused on thievery? Where are they not focused on
Greed,
foolishness and
yeah,
greed?
pride,
And
and
then once you ask that very important question, those laws, Psalms 119, will be a light to your feet and they will guide you on where to go, which may bring you to an island nation such as Mauritius or somewhere that's on the continent more so like a Botswana. Because again, we even have clients who have gotten 5-year residencies in Botswana after doing our business program, in which it's very important for you as an entrepreneur to have your stuff together, your portfolio, your website. These are the things you are turning into these governments that is the deciding factor. Do I want this person here? How you articulate yourself matters. I mean, I was so happy for our client when she texted us one day and said, wow, I have my 5-year permit through my education consulting business. Do you know how great a feeling that
Hmm.
is? Even when you get a digital nomad visa through your business with your golden seal, your website, your portfolio, it's an amazing feeling. We've had that feeling multiple times in the past couple of years, okay? And this is why so many sophisticated expats eventually stop chasing the cheap countries and start prioritizing residue coherence instead. And so the question changes from how cheap is this, or how inexpensive is this, or how much money can I save by being here,
Mm.
to how sustainable is this for 15
Man,
years? That
that's
question changes everything when you start thinking 10 to 15 years.
yeah.
There's actually a scripture in the Bible that really helped us have this mindset that says to think to the 10th generation. It's in the Torah. If you start thinking to the 10th generation, you can't even fathom what the 10th generation is. But what decisions would you make today if you were concerned with what happens 10 generations from now? Your
Mm.
decisions become crystal clear, actually. When you think, okay, what decision is going to be best for my great grandchildren? Then it's like, oh, there's really only one option, to be quite honest with you. Okay?
Yeah, yeah. That's something you said something super important right there, where a lot of people want to go to cheap countries, but not realizing how time consuming and energy wasted. Like it's very emotional. It's like, man, once you
It's a
realize
drain.
um, there's better countries out there for quality of life and sustainability, right? It just makes sense. Like I know we are in a time of confusion, we are in a time of just chaos, right? But there are countries, there are systems, there are governments out here that makes sense. And you have to do the simple thing and just make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
Don't be confused. Don't make it confusing to the point where you're there for a year and then now you have to figure things out. You got to leave. You got to pay someone off to do this and do that. It don't matter if the country is super cheap. It don't matter if the food cheap. What
Because you're going to
about,
be
yeah,
spending.
yeah, yeah. So that's something to really think about. This is
Yeah,
something that we was telling our mature adult clients Sunday. Like Mauritius is the softest landing from America,
that you're going
from
to
Europe
find.
that you're gonna find.
Yeah,
Like to be honest,
yeah.
and it's gonna be different. So I know people that come here, oh, it's different, but it's like y'all just don't have no idea. Y'all really don't. Go to another place and you're gonna be like, oh heck no, oh heck
Oh
no.
man, that's
We
funny.
yeah. So I'm
That's
glad
funny.
that we is on this journey to let you guys know, hey, we dealt with what we needed to deal with. Now we want to share with y'all. Just come to this place and then come to this area to make it easier on you.
Make your life
It's
easy
gonna
while
be
it's
a little bit
available.
different, uncomfortable and stuff, but it's just gonna be so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, Mauritius, think of it as the quiet operator. Visa free access for Americans, strong residence pathways, multiple strong ones, strong banking, tax advantages. You can get flights to Dubai, South Africa, India,
Hmm.
speaking English and French, and status transitions are smoother than most countries. Think of Botswana as your stability play. It is one of Africa's most stable nations politically, strong governance reputation, anti corruption, safe compared to many neighboring countries, certainly, strong property and business environment, quiet long term positioning. Think of Seychelles as, again, your wealth preservation island, not too far from us, visa free access,
Hmm.
international banking, investor friendly posture, strong tourism, beautiful low stress environment, geographical positioning in the Indian Ocean. And again, your honorable mentions here are secondarily Kenya, Rwanda. Those aren't bad countries to go to, but you
No.
just have to know your season, know what you're looking for, because
Mm.
Kenya and Rwanda would possibly be like the next best countries if we were
Yeah.
to continue this list.
Yeah. You just gotta you gotta do your research. You gotta know what's going on in the country right now. It's a lot going on, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this information. Make sure you like the video, leave your comments below, share this with someone that you believe that could take value out of this video. And look, y'all just kind of got a little mini course of the state of diaspora, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
And there's much more.
much more. There's much
Much
more.
more.
You
It's
can
a
go deep.
4 week
It can
intensive.
go deep. So this is why we say check the links in the description. And
See if
yeah,
it's right for you.
yeah, because it really is. I'll tell you that. It really is. Everyone that we talk to, They really appreciate the information. They say, "Man, I had so many questions, and then you answered them all, and still gave me more. And it's so much that I got to think about.
Yeah.
We need to talk again." So,
Then they have
yeah,
the recording they can go over.
exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Best case scenario, you become one of those clients that eventually comes out to one of the Mascarene Islands and you are living your best life with a 10, 20-year residence permit on the Mascarene Island nations. Worst case scenario, you read the enrollment guide and you're like, hey, I don't want to move to Africa. Maybe I just want to go to Latin America, or maybe I'll stay in America a little bit longer. Either way, when you read that enrollment guide that is 10
Hmm.
pages long on our website, you are going to get information that you otherwise would not have known. Shalom, shalom. See you in the next video.
Shalom, family.
Link in the description.